Petey Beats here from Pop Turner speaking to Daniel J. Kim about Season 6 Part 2 of Cobra Kai, streaming now worldwide on Netflix. Welcome back to the show, man. It's good to see you again.
What's up, man? Great to see you too, Petey.
Glad to be back. Exciting. I mean, you know, oh my goodness, we have a lot to talk about. Where do we even start?
Yeah, you have like 5 episodes of craziness in every single episode. So
there's no time to rest if you think about it. Did that feel like that reading it? Like, oh my god, like
it felt like that shooting it, man. Like not just on the page, but every single day. I'm sure you've heard from the others, but it was like nonstop. That whole segment of episodes 6 and 7, the 2 fights between, the whole huge mat fight with Cobra Kai and the Miyagi-Dos, and all of 607's platform fights. We shot that in like the span of 3 or 4 days in the space. And then we went back and then we shot all of the craziness in 9 and 10. So it was it was a fever dream because we were just locked in this tournament, like just constantly going through it. And it was amazing. Like we were sweating, we were working, and it looks like it came out pretty okay. So we're happy about that.
At some point there's like the rehearsals and everything, but then there's kind of the meat and potatoes of filming all the Sekai Taikai and all the brawl scenes and everything. Mm-hmm. Is there any preparation or mindset for you going into something like that, knowing that there's going to be like so many martial artists, so many stuntmen, so many actors all at once, like taking it all in? Like, I'm just curious, can you even prepare yourself for something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? Like, you saw how many people are on that mat, how many people are in like the wide shots of all of those people, let alone like, the individual fights on the day, but like on the mat and in the brawl, it's just hundreds of people just going at it. So honestly, the hugest props to our stunt coordinator, and our stunties, like everyone who went in. So Don Lee and Ken Bearfield and Tony Chung, they like led the charge for us. They organized our rehearsals, even with the limited time that we had, so well. We had like a full week with the episode 6 and 7 fights, and then they tried to give us as much time as possible with 9 and 10. And so they were constantly bringing us into the stunt dojo. We were rehearsing, and when we weren't rehearsing, we were filming. And when we weren't filming, we were, practicing fights. We were talking scenes. All that stuff. So really, it came down to like having an incredible team, and a big shout out to my stunt double, David EJ, who's a homie. He's a great guy. He does an amazing job. And those guys, they really were the ones who taught me, helped me, kept all of us afloat and the machine running as we were just doing this craziness, like minute after minute after minute on the Sekai Taikai dice. Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun.
These are the greatest Cobra Kai episodes of all time. If you said that, you'd be biased, but I'm saying that.
That's really nice to hear. Thank you for saying that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the goal. And I feel like it's hard, but every time a new season comes out, it's like, how are we going to make it bigger and how are we going to make it better?
How did John, Josh, and Hayden do it, man? Every single season, they are one-upping themselves and doing more action.
I was stressed.
Oh, yeah? When did it like first hit for you?
Because I feel like it was the end of episode 6 where we're introduced, because like Cobra Kai is basically like they think they own the world, right? And then they're pegged down in reality when we meet the Iron Dragons.
That's right.
And I feel like as soon as that happened, it was like, oh my god, it felt like the pace of being in the tournament watching it, because then it's all of a sudden because then it really, after episode 6, it really gets into the tournament. Like,
oh, absolutely.
The season is the tournament.
We're on the mat for like it's crazy, like the breaks that we have from the being on the tournament mat is like I was rereading all the scripts and thinking of all the scenes that we've been doing, and I was like, wow, like it really is just kind of like pedals all the way down, and we are just flooring it through all of these fights. And so I don't know. It's kind of like we're trying to not let you breathe, but I hope it kind of pulled off so that when we finally let our foot off the gas and that final moment happens in 10, that everyone kind of goes, there's this like big shock and awe moment.
We're gonna get into it. No worries. we will talk about it. But I did want to ask, because this is a little bit of an exclusive, because we talked before we started. I did interview a lot of your castmates as well, and she got brought up, but I didn't ask them about it. So this is an exclusive Daniel J. Kim question here.
Hey, I'll take it, Pete.
Because like it's tough, right? Because you might or might not have crossed paths with her because there's so many people there. But did you get a chance to meet Britt Baker?
Oh,
like,
Britt Baker,
the professional wrestler.
Yes, she's the captain. She's the coach of the Team Russia, and also an incredible like WW women's
AEW,
wrestling,
AEW wrestler.
AEW wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. I remember also she's a dentist. Like
Yes.
which is incredible. I remember we were on set. Yeah, she was so sweet, such a kind person, and a real life badass. So
Yeah.
it was so nice to hear her approval of like, looking at us and all the work we're doing, being like, wow, you guys are doing amazing. And so,
And it
but
got
she
out
was
that she
really sweet.
It got out that she was going to be in it, and then I'm waiting what capacity. I'm like, okay, this is sick. Like,
Yeah, and then when they go and they punch, Gunther in the face and they're fighting on them. Yeah,
you know how it is. The
that part's
Cobra
so
Kai
good.
fans, anytime there's information, they'll let you know about it.
Oh yeah.
So
man.
there is this kind of like there was this surge of like information that kept kind of getting out.
It's crazy. It's like you put like one like little worm on a hook and they're dissecting it for days. They're like, it's this and this person's here and that person's there, and it's wild.
Well, okay, now here are our favorite kind of questions, our craft questions, right? Because I'm a filmmaker as well. So
Yeah, you are.
It's interesting because we get we see a little bit of the new Cobra Kai in part 1, right? Like we have there's cool scenes where like Yoon's training and Quan and everything. We kind of meet Quan a little, but we kind of don't know. We know that he's this villain. We know that he's going to be the student that's going to stand out and everything. We meet Yoon and everything. We finally get to meet the new Cobra Kai more in these episodes. So I'm just curious for you reading that breakdown, even before filming it, where it's like, all right, now we're kind of seeing them. They're, having altercations with Miyagi-Do, right? Like we didn't see that at all, like in part 1. So what was that like for you? Like that script to screen journey, like reading all that stuff and then seeing it come to life on screen?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, like that was one of my favorite parts of our earlier interview, is because you're such a craft-oriented guy. It's so nice to be like, hey, like what's the kind of behind the scenes? So I really always appreciate you asking this stuff. Yeah, man, it was so fun. It's like when you kind of see what 603 Korean Cobra Kai is, right, in the first part, it's kind of like we're in our own little world visually. Like even filmically, the color grading is different, the feel is different, you're in a different language, so it kind of feels like there's a little bit of isolation. And we felt like that on the set because we didn't meet anybody in the cast except Marty and Alicia until we got to Barcelona, right? And do all the fighting there. And so it really was once we got there that we kind of felt okay, we know what's happening here. We came in, I don't know what Brandon said, but I remember we came in the first day and we're all in those matching amazing jackets made by Frank Helmer, like the incredible like bomber jackets with
Did
the
you keep
Cobra on the
one?
back.
Did you get to keep it?
I tried so hard to get it, man. Frank was like, no, you can't. I was like, please. I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't able to get that jacket.
But you like rolled in with the jackets, yeah.
Yeah, we all roll in like this unified group, and I saw like everyone in Miyagi-Do. It was like one of our first days meeting the whole cast. And I saw all of them be like, whoa, who are these guys? As we all pulled up with like us and Peyton, and they're like, oh dang, they look crazy intimidating. And I remember being like, this is the dynamic. And so we had like so much fun offset too, like because all of us were friends and we were hanging out and doing karaoke and stuff like that. But when it came to like on set, all of that stuff, the dynamic like solidified those first couple days. And it was like everyone was just upping the bar, when Brandon would do something, then like everyone else would jump on and we'd all push each other to be like greater and greater. So it was really amazing.
For sure. And kind of to add to that, and like I'm going to give Cobra Kai as an example, but you can answer this in regards to just in general of like, storytelling and reading scripts and kind of diving in. I think it's season 4 or 5, we see that flashback of young Kreese and young Silver where they're talking about the Sekai Taikai, right? And like he gives them a pamphlet and everything. So it's interesting, right? Because even before you joined the show, you said you were a fan and everything and you've auditioned before. So it's kind of like one of those things for us fans watching that, we get excited when we see a scene like that because there's a good chance that we are going to see a Sekai Taikai in Cobra Kai, right? We think about that. Foreshadowing and everything. Do you ever think about that when you're reading scripts or preparing as an actor, kind of like reading something and saying like, hey, I might have to prepare myself mentally because this might kind of come back 25 pages out later, or like, for a show a season later? Because I do find that very interesting. I think about
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I mean, that's part of the text analysis to get like
Yeah.
real nerdy. Like that's part of the prep work that we do, right? Like
Yeah.
I went and I watched, was it 504, I think? There's
Yeah.
the episode Sekai Taikai where Gunther and all the judges, they come in and they are judging Miyagi-Do and
Yes.
Cobra Kai, the silver version,
Yeah. So I
right?
think
For
what I
like
was
whether they're
talking
gonna
about
move
was
on.
season 4 then. Remember? Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
referring to, right?
Oh,
That
of course,
like,
of course. And what I mean is like I pull all of those moments. So whether
yeah.
it's like the first flashback we got of like Kim Sun Young, right, in earlier seasons, right? Well, I want to get a feel for like what is Korea like in this show? What is like Cobra Kai that Alicia Hannah Kim's character Kim Dae-Un, like what is that like? And so I pulled from all of that to build Yoon and our dynamic and how we fight and and also it kind of comes from my own martial arts background too.
Yep.
So it's a little marriage of both worlds. Yeah, man, that's all part of it.
Absolutely. How is it more fun or more challenging to play lost characters doing self-reflection? The whole kind of introduction in season 1 of Cobra Kai is this whole kind of finding karate, finding your dojo to, protect yourself, but to kind of like figure things out and find yourself, that self-reflection component, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these characters that we see in the Sekai Taikai, whether they're Miyagi-Do, Cobra Kai, Iron Dragons, there's self-reflection and trying to figure things out. There's always dojo swaps. They don't even know what's going on half the time or where they
All
want to
the
be.
time.
So from an acting perspective, is it more fun or more challenging to play a lost character? Because from the viewer perspective, Daniel, they're not lost, right? They don't think they're lost.
Right.
They're just like living life. I find that really interesting, don't you?
Oh, I mean, for me, it's fun. For me, it's both.
Yeah.
It's both for different reasons. I think like I don't know if I call Yoon lost. I think he has a big chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, but
And
you
I
know
think
where I'm coming from, though, right?
yeah, absolutely. I think like characters are still kind of finding their place in the story or in which camp they fit in, all that kind of stuff. And so, but for me, it's like playing Yoon. One of the big gifts about him is that he gets to both be like kind of the shining star student, get taken down a peg, and there's this whole like like under arc of like him trying to be to be present, to kind of prove himself in the ring, like in the second half of the Sekai Taikai. And I can't say too much, but it's not the last that we'll see of Yoon for this part either. So that's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool being able to play him both in the Sekai Taikai and also before. So it's been fun building it. For me, it's fun.
Absolutely.
It's challenging. It's great to like bite your teeth into to kind of see where they land. Yeah.
One more craft question before we get into the
Heck
stuff
yeah.
that we need to talk about before we wrap
The
this
juicy
interview.
bits.
Oh my God, man. I couldn't believe it. I actually couldn't yeah. Anyway, okay, I do want to ask you this. So I find it
Yeah, man.
okay, so I find it we were on a roll with a lot of those behind the scenes. So I find it interesting because, there's situations where okay, when you get to work on a TV or show about a specific topic, right? Like a niche topic or something, right? It's really cool because there's opportunities when you're, in something, whether it's sports, whether it's about, cars, or whether it's about music, you have an opportunity to have a platform to kind of provide exposure for that topic you're on the show of, right? So in your case, you and the rest of the cast and crew have the opportunity to, provide a spotlight for martial arts and karate, essentially, with Cobra Kai. You get to do that on the global stage because Netflix is available in over 90 countries. So
Yeah.
I'm like, do you think about that? Because it's one thing to be able to work on something like in the world of kind of martial arts and karate, but to be able to kind of have so many eyes on it and like make karate kind of known to many people over the world, like that must be a really cool feeling and something really cool to be part of, right?
No pressure for me. No. I think, part of it is like, yeah, that is a real privilege and a real gift to be like, wow, like there's this, so much of my life was dedicated to Taekwondo before I became an actor. And I think part of like my story and this story has been like kind of rediscovering it in the same way that Gianni left karate behind and kind of rediscovered it. That was my journey too, was having left
And
Taekwondo
that's why
behind.
it's so relatable to everyone too, right?
It's so nice. And I think one of the biggest things is, I think one of the coolest things that I've seen from the fans, and our fans are amazing, but one of my favorite things from the fans is seeing people watch these fights and go, I can't wait to train, or like I'm training at this tojang and I really want to practice this move. And I'm seeing like people people like practice, work hard, like dedicate themselves, to learn balance or to learn self-respect and to get out there. And so regardless of all of the crazy plot stuff that we're doing, I think one of the coolest parts of Cobra Kai is that it does inspire people to try martial arts and find themselves in it. And I think that's an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm. And then one more question before the juicy question.
Yeah,
There's
let's
that
go, man.
scene where, Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do in the tagging, like the tag tournament. And, Cobra Kai gets eliminated, but then they're not eliminated, but they get eliminated in this case because there's a really cool scene involving Yoon. And I'm sorry, because Yoon's basically getting destroyed, but it was so cool to see.
Hey, I put up a fight in the first half. I throw hands in the first half.
No, you do throw hands, but like this scene, it's like that whole tag team, you're getting exhausted because it's like, Dallas, Jacob, and Gianni just back and forth. And then what was that whole scene like? And were there any conversations with all of them before that? Because that was crazy. And I heard you were there for a long time too.
I wish you could have seen the whiteboard. We have like a God whiteboard, which is all of the list of moves and the beats that are happening in a fight. And you should have seen the whiteboard for 609. Like that fight took up like an entire full section of the board.
But it's so sick to see though, man. And I love that. I love that it's such a big whiteboard because that was so good on screen, man. Like I can't wait for
Thank you, man. I'm really glad that it turned out. Honestly, like huge props to Jacob and Gianni and Dallas because they have so much to do in that section, and I'm just over there being like, whoa. But it was so fun. We had like, we had about a week. Jacob learned it in like a day because he didn't have time and he killed it. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy moves so quickly. And then Gianni and I had some time to rehearse it, the two of us, and then I had a little bit of time with Dallas too. So that whole segment was just like us running it. And I couldn't have asked for some better scene partners, better fighters to work with. I think it made Hawk get his lick back, and we love to see that for the character. But for me, it was also just fun working with those guys. Those guys are amazing.
And I'm glad we were able to bring that up because the episodes that are out now, like the new 5 episodes, they're packed. There's so many things. So I'm hoping someone comes back and watches this and it's like, oh, what scene did they talk about? It goes back and be like, oh yeah, that's what I was hoping because I love that scene, man. All right.
There's so much fighting in this season. It's wild how many fights there are. It's crazy.
Okay, we're not gonna sugarcoat or waste any time. What's it like in the script in all caps, reading Kwon is dead? What's going through your mind?
I mean, I was in as much shock as you guys were. Like they've never killed a character on the show, let alone right? I don't think they have,
No.
right? Let alone a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it is so amazing and impactful and like tragic to see, this guy who's on top of the world, the guy who's like everyone's been hyping up and everyone has fallen in love with Brandon and for good reason.
Yep.
Right. And for me, it was like reading on the page, I was like, this is going to be an iconic moment.
Yeah.
And then when we got to set, I remember that day we shot it at the end of day. And Brandon was lying there. And I remember I was standing there and, we've been working for a couple months now. I was crying, watching like both my friend in real life and also my rival competitor as his team on the show. Yeah. And so, I guess I'm so excited to see how the fans react. I'm excited to see how it moves Cobra Kai Karate Kid going forward.
Yep.
And it also puts some gravity to tie in another thing with what Mr. Miyagi did, right, in the past and what that must have looked like.
That big reveal about how there was death in the Sekai Taikai. Absolutely. I did a course in college. It was a literature course called Tragedy. And it was literally specifically, it was like some plays with some movies and stuff. We watched like Othello and like Thelma and Louise and everything.
Love
there was these interesting kind of like parts of a tragedy and what leads to a tragedy, right? So there was kind of like, I forget, there were some introductions, but there was like the climax, right? There was the turning point, and there was also always the point of no return, right? Where that's kind of where there's no... I'm curious, like, if there's, like, the turning point, I think, would have been, like, Cobra Kai not being eliminated in the tournament. Something like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like the point of no return could have been the Kwon, like, elbow.
Oh,
right?
really?
If you think
That's so
about that, right?
interesting.
Did you think about that? Because
I-
then, like,
for
all
me,
hell is gonna break loose, right?
I love that take. I really love that take.
Yeah.
I think for me, like Quan is always that guy. He's always that guy who's
Or is
fired
the
up,
point
who's
of
trying
no
to get it.
Sorry, is the point of no return also when he grabs the knife? Because that's the
For me,
most
it's
obvious.
for me, it's
one.
the for me, it's the knife. I mean,
But do you agree with
you
that?
know,
With the whole
yeah, I really like that reading of it. That it's
Yeah.
like, hey, as soon as he made that shot against Robby, like he's the one who set all of the motions.
He sets up the tragedy. Maybe not the tragedy. Maybe not the tragedy for himself, but he sets that something could happen.
Yeah. I mean, I really love that. I think the craziest part of it is like, in any good tragedy, there's catharsis. At least you
Yes.
want in Greek style tragedy. The craziest part, they say Quan is dead. We see that shot, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's a season. That's what
Yeah.
we leave you on. So,
Yes.
like for me, it's like the catharsis will be
Yeah.
like seeing fans deal with it on the internet and in their homes and in chat rooms and on Instagram chat rooms. What the heck? Am I like 80 years old?
Oh, yeah.
Like I mean, like on Instagram or on
the
TikTok
groups,
and stuff.
the groups, the boards, all that stuff.
Yes, the MySpaces and
Oh my god, I remember MySpace. I was talking about MySpace the other day. And do you remember Tumblr?
Do I remember Tumblr? Yeah, man. Tumblr was like my friend's like lot. It's anyways. We're gonna.
The Cobra Kai
It's
fans
crazy.
love Tumblr right now.
Shout out to all the Tumblr Cobra Kai fans.
No, but all the part 2 episodes of Cobra Kai are streamed now worldwide on Netflix, and then we're gonna get part 3 when we get part
Oh,
3.
yeah.
And oh my goodness, Daniel, congratulations and thank you so much for coming back on the show, man. This was awesome.
Thank you so much, Petey. I appreciate it. Always good being here with you.
Absolutely. Your Instagram account is just your name. If people want to keep up to date with everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Daniel_J_Kim. You guys can follow me there. I'm sometimes hanging out and, happy to chat with you guys.
Absolutely. Well, this has been Pop Turn at youtube.com/PopTurn for previous episodes. You can catch Daniel J. Kim as Yoon in season 6, part 2 of Cobra Kai, streaming worldwide now on Netflix. Until next time, it's Daniel and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.